So yesterday on Yahoo.com, they had this article about Sylvester Stallone being in Nice, France when the attacks happened, and supposedly he took this picture just before the attack and whatever. Instantly, Sylvester Stallone reminds me of Philadelphia because he's Rocky, right? Rocky from Philadelphia. Also reminds me of the death of Muhammad Ali again. I've also made a ton of videos in regards to Philadelphia. I've talked about a possible East Coast earthquake or even possibly a Philadelphia earthquake. Even I've talked about it in regards to the royal family. You know, the Fresh Prince comes from Philadelphia. I've also mentioned it in regards to Pope Francis's visit and the blood moons. Pope Francis's last place that he visited in the United States was Philadelphia. He even gave a speech on Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg lectern. Just think about all of the Civil War domestic violence type coding that we have been getting pounded with, you know. Philadelphia also comes from the book of Revelation. I mean, look at Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Jewish Gematria. It even equals 1611, the same year that the King James Bible was made. Last year when Pope Francis arrived in the United States, he arrived at 4:04 p.m. His name in Jewish Gematria also equals 404. Prince Charles, who I've been talking about in regards to the Fresh Prince and becoming the new King of England, his name also equals 404. If he does become the king, his wife will become the queen, who equals 404. There's 404 verses in Revelation. The last year, in 2015, it was the 404th year of the King James Bible. 1611 to 2015 is 404 years. So a lot of interesting stuff. But in regards to Paris, France, so we have Sylvester Stallone here. He's in France. You know, he's not in Paris, but he's in France. They even take this picture making him look like the Statue of Liberty. And literally, Philadelphia has a connection to the number 56 as well, so we got Paris, France equals 56. You know, flight 804 that had 56 passengers going to Cairo, Egypt that equals 56. ISIS equals 56. Royal Family 56, King James Bible 56, Black Lives Matter also equals 56. Even Osama bin Laden, Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein all equal 56. But the Declaration of Independence was also signed by 56 signers in Philadelphia. This guy was the first, John Hancock. He even died at the age of 56. The last person to sign the Declaration of Independence to die was Charles Carroll III. You know, it makes you think a lot of Prince Charles, who will become King Charles III if he becomes the king. This guy even dies on the same day that King Charles, or Prince Charles, was born, November 14th. He dies 56 years after the Declaration of Independence is signed. So, you know, anyway, just wanted to point out some significant things about why Philadelphia is important. We even had the Philadelphia train wreck that was involved in Pope Francis's visit to the United States as well, but not going to go into that. So anyway, in this article, look at the only word that they highlight in the title here, cowardly. Cowardly in Gematria equals 101, just like the word Philadelphia. Go figure. Rocky from Philadelphia, the only word they highlight, has the same Gematria as Philadelphia. Sylvester Stallone in Gematria equals 63. You know, they're trying to make him look like the Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty equals 63. And in regards to Muhammad Ali and boxing and whatnot, Muhammad Ali died on June 3rd, 6'3" this year. Sylvester Stallone, even born on July 6, 1946, supposedly in the movie Rocky, the character Rocky was also born on 7/6, just a year before Sylvester Stallone in 1945. Anyway, if you read out Sylvester Stallone's full name in Gematria, it equals 117. Remember, Muhammad Ali was born on January 17th, a lot like 117. He died from Parkinson's disease that equals 117. If you go from January 17th to July 6th, a span of 171 days, I mean, January 17th can even be written as 17/1, a lot like 171. English Civil War in Gematria also equals 171. I've talked a ton about the English Civil War, and if Queen Elizabeth dies, then Prince Charles will become King Charles III. During the English Civil War, it was King Charles I and King Charles II. A Cavalier was even a follower of the King Charleses in the English Civil War. Think about the Cleveland Cavaliers winning this year. They even win on the real King James's birthday, which would have been his 450th birthday. The Cavaliers have LeBron James, who is King James. King James also was the father of King Charles I and the grandfather of King Charles II. Anyway, Muhammad Ali equals 42 the small way, 96 the big way. He got Parkinson's when he was age 42. He was born in 1942 even. The super N-word equals 42. Just think about it in regards to tons of stuff. Jackie Robinson. February, Black History Month, the only month in Gematria to equal 42. It even has the 42nd day in it. A ton more other stuff to that, but I'm going to move on. Maybe I'll leave a little note or something. Freemason also equals 42 the small way and 96 the big way, identical to Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali dies at the age of 74. The word Masonic equals 74. Look at Rocky Balboa. Rocky Balboa also equals 42. The big way, Rocky Balboa equals 105. Pretty interesting as well. So if you go from the attack in France that he was at, Sylvester Stallone, and you go to the anniversary of Philadelphia being founded, it's a span of 105 days. The word masonry equals 105. Zionism equals 105. Blood moon also equals 105. And I forgot to mention earlier, when Pope Francis left the United States, he left from Philadelphia, and later that night we got the 4th blood moon of the tetrad. But it's also interesting because Sylvester Stallone had a son who died at the age of 36, and he supposedly died from a heart attack that equals 36. But his name was Sage Moonblood Stallone. You know, pretty interesting name. If you write out the word 36, it equals 53, 62, and 152. Identical Gematria to Pennsylvania. Another interesting thing about 105 is that if you write out Back to the Future Part 3, it equals 105. Something I have been mentioning a ton of times. They use this movie and a ton of coding. Now they've moved on to Part 3. That's how I knew the Super Bowl was going to be connected to the 85 Bears because of Back to the Future. The Royals last year won the World Series for the first time since 1985. They won it on Philadelphia's 303rd anniversary, October 27th. This year, the World Series began on October 27th, 2015. The NBA season even began on this day. It's the day that leaves 65 days left until the end of the year. Philadelphia and Gematria, the small way, even equals 65. The word Prince equals 65. In Back to the Future 3, they go back to 1885, which is 131 years ago. They even use train number 131 to push the DeLorean back to 1985. And then the DeLorean gets destroyed by the train, and then Doc Brown comes back in the train time machine. That's a lot of the reason why all these Amtrak derailments are so significant, especially the one in Philadelphia. But anyway, Prince Charles also equals 131 in Gematria. The whole movie, I think, is about him becoming the king or maybe possibly just dying or something. So Prince Charles also was 36 years old, 11 months, 14 days, on October 27th, 1985, the day that Back to the Future ends. Also, like I said, Philadelphia's 303rd anniversary. But 11 months, 14 days, he was even born on November 14th, 1114. So Philadelphia's 303rd anniversary, October 27th, 1985. It's a lot like 33. Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali's real name, equals 33. He even died 33 days before Sylvester Stallone's 70th birthday. And of course, 33, the highest degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Also interesting, if you read out the word 70, it equals 29, just like France. With the S and V exception, it also equals 56. So anyway, this year, Philadelphia will turn 334 years old this year. 334 in Gematria equals 128. Pennsylvania became a state on a date numerology of 128. Philadelphia and Pennsylvania were both founded by William Penn, who equals 128. William Penn even got the land in Pennsylvania on a charter from King Charles II. Also interesting, Democratic National Convention equals 128, and this year it just so happens to be held at the Wells Fargo Arena in Philadelphia. Another interesting 128, if you write out Flight 804, it equals 128. Remember, Flight 804 went missing 56 days before the Nice, France attack. Also, another 56 in regards to all the other ones. Sylvester Stallone, his nickname is Sly. Sly equals 56. So when I've previously talked about the movie Rocky, I talked more about the character Apollo Creed because he's played by Carl Weathers. Carl Weathers is also Chubbs Peterson and Happy Gilmore, and I'll talk about more of that in a little bit. But in the movie, Apollo Creed, the character, is actually based off of Muhammad Ali. Apollo Creed in the movie, even born in 1942, just like Muhammad Ali. But what I find interesting in regards to the Nice, France attack, and then the very next day, we get the turkey coup, or whatever, however you say it. You know, it looks like coop to me, reminds me of like a chicken coop, and then you think of turkeys in Turkey and whatnot. Coup, whatever, coup d'etat even comes from the French Revolution, that's where the phrase comes from. And then Bastille Day is celebrating the French Revolution. So these two events, completely connected. But what's interesting, so we got Turkey, which also, what do you think of when you think of Turkey? You think of Thanksgiving. Remember last year, Turkey shot down a Russian plane just 2 days before Thanksgiving. It just so happened to be on November 24th. This year, Thanksgiving will be on November 24th. So the anniversary of them shooting down the Russian plane. In the movie Rocky, Rocky doesn't defeat Apollo Creed until Rocky II, and he does it on Thanksgiving Day of 1976, which just so happens to be 11/25/1976. 11/25 also interesting for the fact that the newest movie came out on 11/25 last year, Creed or whatever, came out on 11/25. Rocky also begins on 11/25/1975. So, you know, I know it's not exactly every time Thanksgiving, but it's right around the time of Thanksgiving. Just makes me wonder, especially with this turkey shooting down the plane last year, the Russian plane. In Rocky IV, remember Rocky fights the Russian who kills Apollo Creed. The movie just so happens to come out in 1985. It's even set in 1985. Because Apollo Creed dies in 85. Talked about the Back to the Future and how it connects to Philadelphia. Tons of 85 references. Queen Elizabeth was even in her 33rd anniversary of being the Queen in 1985. Apollo Creed, the first time that he fought Rocky was even when he was 33 years old. And think about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was created by George Washington, who died on the 42nd day of the year, a known Freemason. 74 years later, Abraham Lincoln makes it a national holiday. And you know, I've talked about Thanksgiving before. I'll leave a link in the description to a video I made about August 12th, then the possible beginning of World War II. You know, who knows? It was just, I made it a while back because I noticed a whole bunch of connections to August 12th being a very significant date in regards to World War III. You know, what's interesting, if you write out Thanksgiving, it equals 141, just like if you write out World War III. Also plutonium, right? That's what they use to make the atomic bombs and whatnot. It's also the gas for... So, plutonium, also the gas for time travel. And when you think about, like, World War II came to an end in 1945, the same year that Rocky was born in the movie. If you go from Rocky's birth date to the day World War II came to an end, 1 month, 28 days. In regards to Apollo Creed dying from the Russian, Apollo Creed dies on August 31st, 1985. And if you go to the day that Back to the Future ends, and also Philadelphia's 303rd anniversary, it's also a span of 1 month, 28 days, a lot like the 128 that connects back to Pennsylvania. Also, just wanted to point out really quick, United States in Gematria equals 157. You know, the Turkey coup attempt was on 15/7. Also, I found it interesting that Philadelphia and Russian have the same Gematria of 101. So, I'm not trying to scare anybody, and I don't know if this is really going to happen, but, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now that could lead up to World War III or some type of war. And they have been using movies since they've created movies to subliminally program stuff to us and tell us messages and whatnot. And there's a lot connecting to 1985. So I just want to get this information out here, just in case anything does come of it, you know. So November 25th seems to be a pretty popular date in regards to the Rocky movies. If you go from November 25th to the day of the Nice, France attack, a span of 232 days. Just super interesting. If you write out Pennsylvania, it equals 152. If you write out 152, it equals 232. The word Satan also equals 232. The word Kansas equals 232. Kansas, the 34th state and the last state to join the Union before the Civil War. 34 days before 3/4 when Abraham Lincoln became the president. The Civil War that lasted 4 years, or Abraham Lincoln died 4 years, 3 days after the Civil War began. He was born on the 43rd day of the year. Civil War in Gematria equals 43. Lincoln equals 34. We even had the Amtrak derailment in Kansas this year. Tons of stuff with that. Sorry for going off, but there's just so many other topics you could go off of some of these. And they're all still connected back to the same topic. But anyway, in regards to, 232, 152 equals 232, Pennsylvania equals 152. And now in this Turkey coup attempt, they're saying it was this guy who supposedly lives in Pennsylvania is the possible ringleader of it or whatever. Look at his name in Gematria. Identical to Pennsylvania. This guy, the president of Turkey, he's even 62 years old, his birthday on 2/26 or 26/2. The guy that they're supposedly looking for, his name in Gematria, the small way equals 62, just like Pennsylvania equals 62, the small way. If you write out 62, it equals 38, the small way, just like Prince, the small way. If you write it out the big way, it equals 155, just like Turkey Air Base, which they said that they shut down the U.S. base in Turkey and whatnot. The president of Turkey, his name in Gematria, the big way, equals 207, just like the word Charles. If you write out 207, it equals 197. This coup attempt happened on the 197th day of the year. Prince also equals 197, a number I've mentioned a ton of times. Even in the last video that I made, I mentioned how I talked about July 15th in regards to the 197 and how it might be a possible significant day. And then, of course, we get a big major story in regards to Turkey and the attempted coup. It even happens 8 months, 1 day after Prince Charles' 67th birthday. So Charles equals 207, the president of Turkey equals 207. If you write out Republic of Turkey, it also equals 207, also 81, a lot like the 8 months, 1 day. Also, the 232, this year the 232nd day is August 19th. That leaves 134 days in the year. King Charles III also equals 134. So let's go back to this, the Rocky stuff, but I just wanted to mention a lot of that because it does connect back to Pennsylvania yet again, and also the royal theme that I've mentioned. And I really feel like Turkey is connecting it to something to do with Thanksgiving. But if you go from the Nice attack to November 25th, the number special to the movie Rocky, it's a span of 134 days, just like King Charles III. But before I even mention that, so a lot of the stuff seems to be like one day off as well. Seems like it's connected, one day off. If you use the end date and you go from the Turkey attempt, it's also a span of 134 days. So just want to point that out. I've noticed this a whole lot recently. I've been using the end date and it connects up, but there's been a lot of events that have happened right after the other as well, almost like they're trying to show you the same number or tell you that whatever they're pointing to is a day off. So possibly November 25th would be a day off of November 24th or something like that, you know. Thanksgiving will be on November 24th this year. I've even seen some videos where people talked about World War III beginning on November 26th this year. So that would be a day off as well. So who knows? Just wanted to point that out really quick. In regards to 134 though, King Charles III equals 134. Anything that equals 134 will always equal 804 in English Gematria because you just multiply it by 6. So King Charles III also equals 804, which reminds us of Flight 804. Rocky was also 31 years old when he beat Apollo Creed. If you write out 31, it equals 134, also 804. The only other number that I could find that did this was the number 84. 84 equals 134 and 804. And think about it. In Nice, France, he killed 84 people. He was 31 years old. He was born on 3/1. It was 31 days after Donald Trump's birthday. Donald Trump gets his vice president candidate that same day. I mean, I'm telling you, it's all connected back to Prince Charles, or who I think is going to be King Charles III within the next year. You know, even, like I said, Philadelphia, that's where the Fresh Prince is from. So also, Flight 804 then, it went missing 1 month, 18 days before Rocky's birthday. Sylvester Stallone's birthday, also Rocky's birthday. A lot like 118, if you write out Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, it equals 118 the small way. Let me show you some other 118s that have been in recent news. Baton Rouge, 118. Dallas, Texas, 118. You know, they even had the green light in the background. Green equals 49, which I'll talk about in a second. But today, supposedly, we got another shooting of police officers. It was said 3 injured and 3 killed, a lot like 33. But they said the suspect was wearing all black and a mask that equals 118, just like Baton Rouge. I've even mentioned how 56 is special to Philadelphia. 56, the big way, equals 118 in Gematria. In regards to the 49 in Dallas and whatnot, 1 month, 18 days, also a span of 49 days. The word revelation equals 49, 67, and 121. Remember, Philadelphia comes from the book of Revelation. In Gematria, even Dallas equals 49, green equals 49. And like I said in the beginning of the video, in Jewish Gematria, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania equals 1611, just like the year that the King James Bible came out. July 6th can even be written as 6/7, just like Revelation. That's the day that Rocky was born. Also, if you go from July 14th, the Nice attack, to the election day of the United States on 11/8, a lot like 118, it's a span of 118 days even, 118 days before 11/8. The word death even equals 118.
in Jewish Gematria. Death equals 118. It also equals 38. Just in regards to lots of recent things, the word Prince equals 38. Louisiana equals 38. Minnesota, where the other shooting was, equals 38. Napoleon even equals 38 in regards to France. Bonaparte, or however you say his last name, also equals 38. Louisiana even named after King Louis XIV of France. Think about Pope Francis. So, I mean, I really think all of these events are just going back to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They're definitely all connected back to Philadelphia. This guy here, Fethullah Gulen, or whatever, that Turkey wants, and he's in Pennsylvania, he was even born on the 117th day of the year. This year, it was the 118th day of the year, April 27th. He was born in 1941. This year on Thanksgiving, it will be the 41st anniversary of the day that the movie Rocky begins. 41 also reminds me of the year that the United States went to World War II. 1941, after the Pearl Harbor attacks, which I find interesting. You know, Pearl Harbor on December 7th. So it's one day off of 12/8 even, 128. Even located on 157 degrees west. This guy is supposedly from Saylorsburg, Pennsylvania. Saylorsburg equals 157. Like the Turkey coup attempt on 15/7, United States equals 157. Anyway, you know, I had previously mentioned Apollo Creed because he's played by Carl Weathers, and I talked about it in regards to earthquakes and also Philadelphia. But just think about even Rocky. Rocky reminds you of rocks and moving ground and whatever else, you know? Earlier this year, we had the death of Apollo Creed's trainer in the movie. Also, he later went on to train Rocky. He was Duke Evers in the movie. His name is Tony Burton in real life, but he died on February 25th, 2016. This was just 10 days after Vanity had died, Prince's protege Vanity. Vanity also played in the movie Action Jackson with Carl Weathers. Duke Evers in Gematria equals 56. But I guess I just pointed him out, just wanted to show the point that they're people in connection to Carl Weathers are dying, also in connection to Rocky. Anyway, if you go from the death of Vanity, which was super important, to the death of Prince, who died on Queen Elizabeth's 90th birthday, but if you go from her death to the Turkey coup attempt, a span of 152 days, she dies on February 2nd, which is 15/2, a lot like 152. But not only is she connected to Prince, in this movie with Carl Weathers, Action Jackson, which I tried to watch, but I kept falling asleep because it's such a terrible movie. But part of the joke of the movie at the very end is that she's going to get off drugs and go cold turkey, and then Jackson can have her on Thanksgiving, right? What are the odds of that? Something to do with Thanksgiving yet again? I even looked up Thanksgiving on Wikipedia here, Thanksgiving in the United States, and look at the picture they show you of a family saying grace in Neffsville, Pennsylvania in 1942. So, anyway, last night I had made most of this post, and then I had to go. I had to go get my daughter at the swimming pool, and I wasn't back for a while. And my girlfriend didn't get off work until midnight or something around there. I can't even remember the exact time. But I left cartoons on because I was just busy looking up stuff online and whatnot. And I never turned the cartoons off. My girlfriend got home, and I had told her about this Rocky stuff. I said, it's pretty amazing, all these connections to Rocky and Philadelphia and what's going on in the news. And she put on her headphones and started watching Supernatural, that she always watches on her tablet or whatever. But, moral of the story, I was sitting there and all of a sudden I heard the Rocky theme playing in the background, and I was like, what in the world? And it was an episode of Bubble Guppies, and they were literally playing the Rocky theme in the background. So I looked up the episode. It just so happened to be Season 3, Episode 18, also the 58th episode. Freemasonry equals 58. I mean, I don't know how it's done or what. It's amazing coincidences that happen all the time. And I like to document them because it blows me away when it happens. You know, I was talking about the movie Gravity that one night, and I looked up and that movie was on as well. It was absolutely weird. I had no idea that movie was even on. But what sticks out to me a lot about this episode, it was season 3, episode 18, a lot like 318. Apollo Creed just so happened to die on August 31st, 31/8, a lot like 318. Princess Diana, who was Prince Charles's first wife, even died on that same day, 31/8 in 1997. Remember, she also died in Paris, France. That day is also normally the 243rd day that leaves 122 days until the end of the year. Pope Francis equals 122. Trainwreck equals 122. The Turkey coup attempt, also 122 days before Prince Charles's 68th birthday. He was born on the 318th day of the year. The Bubble Guppies episode was called Swimtastic Checkup, that equals 203. If you write out 318, it also equals 203. I also put in March 24th here. March 24th could be 24/3. It's also the 85th day of the year. If you write out Princess Diana's real name, it equals 85. You know, and then Apollo Creed dies in 85. Lots of 85 stuff. I'm telling you, it's connected to Back to the Future. I even talked about earthquakes in regards to Philadelphia, or at least an East Coast earthquake. The worst ever recorded East Coast earthquake was in Charleston in 1886 on August 31st, 31/8. The next biggest one was in 1944. It was the Cornwall-Messina earthquake. It was exactly 58 years, 5 days later, and it was a 5.8, right? 85 and 58, the mirrors of each other. The next last biggest one was in 2012 in Mineral, Virginia. That was also a 5.8. There's even articles on how they felt it in Philadelphia. Richter scale in Gematria equals 58. Seismograph equals 58. The study of seismology goes back to the year 585 BCE in Thales. The guy who invented the Richter scale died at the age of 85 in 1985. He even died 157 days after his birthday. So once again, United States 57 and 157. All the 157s I mentioned previously. The big one equals 85. Charles Francis Richter equals 109, just like Philadelphia earthquake. And just interesting, his middle name Francis, you know? In regards to Back to the Future ending on Philadelphia's anniversary in 1985, Biff Tannen equals 85. He won all of his money on the 85th day of the year in 1958. The guy who plays him, Thomas Francis Wilson, even equals 85. They've even referred to Trump as being Biff. Trump was born on a date numerology of 85. Earthquake in Gematria equals 107, just like King Charles. Once again, Philadelphia is where the Fresh Prince is from. Also, Princess Margaret, the sister of Queen Elizabeth II, was the first royal family member to get a divorce since King Henry VIII. And then Prince Charles was the second one, right? And I've been trying to figure out what the significance is. Well, the word divorce in Gematria equals 58. Princess Margaret would be 85 years old right now. Her birthday even at 85 days before Prince Charles's birthday. King Charles II died in the year 85 as well, 1685. I made a whole video series on Princess Margaret back in August last year. It was right around the times of the theater shootings that were all connected to 58 and 85 as well. I mean, Abraham Lincoln died in a theater. She was having an affair with Roddy Llewellyn. And then Peter Llewellyn is the Peter Pan guy, the guy who Peter Pan is named after. It was written by J.M. Barrie, who, if you look up his relationship with Princess Margaret. He's an old dude, and he's hanging out with her when she's like 5 years old. It's just really creepy. Seems a lot like why Michael Jackson had Neverland Ranch, you know? Anyway, if you look up more stuff about her, they talk about how she was a train wreck because she, you know, drank a lot, smoked a lot, whatever, even had a lung operation in 1985, I believe. But her 85th birthday was the same day as the French train attack, and however you say that, Thals, that equals 85 in Gematria. Last year, they had everybody programmed to talk about Donald Trump being a train wreck. So there's something very significant about the Philadelphia train wreck and the Amtrak derailments. A few other things I've been talking about August 7th a lot as well, which can be written as 87 or 78. Princess Margaret equals 78, born on a date numerology of 78. She died on 2/9. 2/9, France equals 29. I've been talking about a lot of this other stuff. I'm not trying to get too far off topic, not trying to confuse you, but I have been mentioning a lot of this stuff. The last thing I want to mention is in regards to Apollo Creed and the movie Happy Gilmore, because Carl Weathers plays Chubbs Peterson in the movie Happy Gilmore, which ironically at the end of the movie, he's in heaven with the alligator and also with Abraham Lincoln, which it doesn't really make that much sense that he's in heaven with Abraham Lincoln. There's a whole lot in this post, and maybe I'll leave a link to the post or something. I was talking about it a lot in regards to the Super Bowl, but what I want to point out is that Carl Weathers is the one who teaches Happy how to putt, and Happy learns how to putt on the Earthquake golf course. Just so happens to be 107 minutes into the movie. The word earthquake equals 107. The movie's also 131 minutes long. Prince Charles equals 131. If you write out 131, it equals 107. But he learns the putt, and the building that falls over is this building that has the black cube on the top, right? That looks a lot like the Comcast Center in Philadelphia, the 58-story Comcast Center. Comcast Center in Gematria even equals 58. So, I don't know. I don't know what they're foreshadowing. It really seems like there's something significant to Philadelphia or something in Pennsylvania. I mean, tons of news articles always go back to Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. Maybe, like I've said previously, it just has something to do with the beginning of the United States. But with Sylvester Stallone being in Nice, France, and then posting a picture of himself that looks like the Statue of Liberty, and all you can think about is Rocky and Philadelphia, and then we have the turkey attacks and Rocky's connected to Thanksgiving, it truly makes me wonder what the plan is, so just wanted to get the information out. I'll leave some links in the description so you can check them out if you want to go even more into detail. Like I've said, I've mentioned a lot of this previously. Video's long enough. Have a good one.